Lesson observation in this new normal. Well, when we go on let me speak for myself. When I go observing lessons, there are things that I look out for as a head of school to see that the learning for the children is being moved forward. First of all, I look at the class displays. The class displays, are they bold? Are they colorful? Are they going to move a child's learning as the child sits down quietly in the class? Sometimes maybe you're not having a lesson and the child is what we call less busy and he or she is looking round. Is she or he able to learn from your class displays? When I come in, I sit down, I look around and put myself in the position of the child. Am I learning as I look around? Is the class neat? Is it tidy? Is it inviting? And does the lesson start on time? I watch if the class has been prepared for the learners. Is the teacher a prepared teacher? I look at the lesson plan and see if the lesson plan is tallying with the lesson. What is the starter that she has prepared or he has prepared? Does it catch the interest of the children? Is it relevant? Is it pertinent to the topic? Then I see if she has indeed planned for all the learning abilities and the learning styles. Has that teacher planned for the visual learners, the auditory learners, and the tactile learners, the ones that are hands-on? And as the lesson progresses, has she let them know of her expectations, academic expectations, behavior expectations for this period of her lesson? Does she, from time to time, remind them? Do they know what they're supposed to achieve by the end of the lesson so that they themselves can reflect on their learning and say, yes, I've been able to achieve A, B, C of the learning objectives? Then, how connecting? I watched a lesson day before yesterday and I was impressed. It was a science lesson. And you could tell that this teacher had a positive relationship with the class. She was prepared and she was able to even integrate the online learners. It was a beautiful hybrid lesson. The online learners were about 4 and she had about maybe 14 children, no, about 7 and 7, about 10, 11 children, about 14 in her class. And they had social distancing. They all had face masks on and the children at home, the learners at home, were able to see what they were doing clearly. At each point in time, when she was asking questions to see if they were following, she asked from the online learners and she was asking from her physically present learners in the class. She made sure that the activities could help to enhance the learning for that topic. It was a science lesson, and you know I am partial to science. And even when she had to demonstrate and involve the children demonstrating, each time the children handled anything in the class, they were so used to it. She would tell them, go and sanitize. Everybody had their bottle of sanitizer. And she would sanitize the equipment that they had taught and they would sanitize themselves. And the lesson would go on. There was no awkward, it was smooth transitions. And when it came to time for her to show the video to enhance the lesson, she didn't fumble with the IT. It was, you could tell that it's something she does regularly, and she put that on. So the visual learners were able to be carried along. The auditory learners were able to be carried along. The online learners were carried along. And she ensured that everybody, was able to be part of the lesson. She told them what the objectives were. The part of the lesson that I think she needs to work on was that there was one learner that was mumbling. We all say we are training leaders in our schools. Leadership involves that you teach these children about confident answering of questions or even asking a question. The learner should be confident enough to speak audibly when you're asking for an answer. They should be able to answer confidently. And she didn't correct that person, and she left the person and let the person be. But then she followed up with ensuring that that person did indeed understand the lesson. And the children enjoyed the lesson. They saw, they took part, they asked questions, they were asked. And assessments are around the corner, and she was able to see just how much they understood and how well they understood it. I rated the lesson as a good lesson. It would have been outstanding if every particular child had handled, there was a part in her lesson plan that she did not follow to the letter, and that was because I think she was a bit COVID conscious. But then she could have done on a wider level scale what she started with, letting every child handle that particular equipment that she had said they would handle and then sanitize after. But it was a lesson in which all the lesson objectives were met. And because it was it was an upper elementary class, and those questions that she asked them, they came out in entrance exams, the children would have a mental picture of the tactile lesson they had to be able to answer those questions confidently. So, just how well are you enabling learning in the class? She wasn't, and I watched another one a few days ago where the teacher was just, dictating, so to say. She was reading the lesson and asking the children questions based on what she read to them. And it wasn't an English lesson. So it was a cram and pour enabling environment. You don't read a lesson to children. You guide their learning. You role play. You make it interesting, because you have short attention span level of children these days, and you have to catch their attention, hold it both online and in the physical classroom, and make them learn. Because they're not like when we were young, when we had to listen to the teacher cram and then pour what the teacher was teaching us. They need to be able to understand and be able to say it in their own words, demonstrate it in their own way, and show that they've internally understood and imbibe what you are trying to pass across. So, how well are you engaging learners in your class? Every child matters. Do you care about that quiet, introverted child in the class? I watched another lesson in which the teacher didn't see that child was not answering anything in the class, wasn't part of the class. Whereas there was one particular child that kept on asking questions, kept on answering, was the star. Don't kill the attention seekers. Don't kill their verve, their eagerness to always answer questions. But at the same time, teach them that they take turns, that there's those of them in the class that also should answer the questions. Teach them to encourage each other to speak out when they don't understand and to answer questions as well. So this has been me giving a heads up about your lesson being observed as a teacher. No matter how green you are, how new you are in the profession, what should drive your lesson is that I want the children or my learners to be able to achieve the learning objectives I've set for the lesson. And I'm ensuring that every type of learner in my class will be able to do so. It's important that your lesson is age appropriate, that it's child-centered, and that you carry and you communicate the passion that you indeed want them to learn. Because we're all saying we want our children to be leaders. The leaders of tomorrow as you can see, are not the leaders that we used to know, the successful leaders. You see that they're different, and it starts with being confident in understanding what you are being taught so that you can apply and relate to everyday life. Don't forget that you are accountable for each child in your class, for every learner, because you're a foundation builder.